Hi everyone! Thanks for joining me again today in continuation of my Heritage Journal. So last week I was working on some pop culture little packets that I put some little goodies in, 1940s toys, 1940s pop culture, TV, music, and books. And I'm working on a new signature in my art journal, and today I am going to work on some little mini portfolios of some of the artists which inspired me in my art career. And I really wanted my daughter to have a little glimpse of what inspired me as an artist, but also artists that created pieces of work from like the abstract expressionist surrealist post World War II era, which was, the 1940s. And most of these artists, they died in the 40s. So they had a very long career. Some of them were, they were born in the late 1800s, but they had a very long artistic career. And I have a couple artists that just inspired me in my work, and it's actually funny looking back at the things that drew me to art. So I've got Russian artist Vasily Kandinsky, and I don't know if many people are familiar with him, but I really loved his art, and this is some of his later art. Because he did die in the 1940s, and this painting was, I don't know if it was actually painted in the 1940s. It's the one called Green and Red. But if you look at his artwork, I mean, you'll see how it evolved. It could have been a period from the lower, or a painting from his earlier period. But a lot of the artists that I was inspired by, Kandinsky, Juan Miró was another one of my favorite, and Paul Klee. And a lot of them just had this kind of whimsical, abstracty, I think what drew me to this art is just all these little components, and I would just pick up on interesting little pieces of it. I liked the fact that they were really organic shapes, and then there was little intricacies in between it. Kandinsky did that a lot, and he had a lot of lines and geometric shapes as well, but he would incorporate it with his organic shapes. And then Juan Miró is just someone who's inspired me my whole artistic career. So this painting I found was painted in 1941, and I think he died in 44, so it was one of his later paintings. But I thought, it's really funny that I was drawn to that, and I liked picking these ones out for my daughter's little journal because she will love this kind of stuff. She will appreciate the fact that there was an accomplished artist with such a long career, and he's got these cute little funny little eyes and characters in his paintings. So I thought it was really neat because looking at my daughter and the way that she does art, it's very similar to me. And these are all paintings from the time that my parents were born, so it's very significant to our Heritage Journal. And then Paul Klee was another one that I really liked. Now, I was drawn to more of his Cubist work, his earliest work in the early 1900s, 1912 and stuff, because his style really transformed. I mean, he went through a whole number of movements, Cubism, Surrealism, and Expressionists. And this is a painting that I found from 1940. It's really, really hard to find later works of Paul Klee, but a lot of the work that I was inspired by was his Cubist work because, he was in the era with Picasso, but he was just more like his Cubist style. The shapes kind of meshed, so there was almost like this optical illusion with his art, but it was a little more organic than Picasso. Picasso's was so cut and dry his shapes that kind of like mushed into each other, but it was almost like a layered effect. And his style varied too, but I found this painting, and funny enough, like I just adore this painting. Like I think it is so more kind of modern day surrealist kind of stuff, you know. It's just, but as I was looking at all these paintings of the 3 artists that inspired me with my art, I found something very similar, other than even just the style, like them being expressionists or abstract impressionists. They all have eyes in them. I thought that was really interesting because they are actually from different eras, and they're all from different parts of the world. Juan Miro was Spanish, from Barcelona. We've got a Russian artist, Kandinsky, and then the German one, Klee. So, like, they are all from the European area, but just very different countries and cultures. So, but I find it fascinating. These are my 3 favorite ones, and you know, just a little tiny little history lesson there, but these are the artists and the paintings that I decided to work on. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to incorporate it in the journal, and I'm going to make little mini portfolios. So I've got some black cardstock here, and I'm going to actually do the little portfolio like it'll be folded. So on the front, we're going to have the painting, and then I'm just going to do like a pamphlet fold, and then I'll put the artist's information inside. So I just want to get the right sizing here. I think, what size are these paintings? So they're 2 2/8. No, 2 1/8. So I will do, I wonder if I can get it 2 1/2. Yeah, I can do them 2 1/2. So I'll go, let's see, which way am I going to go here? 5. So I need to make it 5 wide because I'm going to fold them in half. And then the length, I'm just measuring the length of the painting, is 3 1/2. So I'll do 4. The length will be 4, which is perfect because this is 8 1/2. I'll get 2 out of this. So we'll do, I'll cut 2 of them. Okay, so 1, and then 2. So I've got 2 sheets that are 4 by 5. Now, if you're doing this, I mean, don't pay attention to my measurements because it's going to be different for yours, right? You've got a different size. And then luckily, my last one's smaller, so I'm just going to make it this size, but I've got to make the length still 4. Okay. Is that right? So make sure you do the sizing according to the size that your journal is. And we'll get one folded here. So I don't know if I did this right. I think I cut this wrong. Hang on a second. This was 5. Okay, I did do the last one wrong. This one's right, but I'll just cut another one for the other one because it was a different shape. So I'm just doing these little portfolios like so that are going to go on the page, and they'll flip open. So there's 1, and I've got 2, and then this one I've got to cut another one. It's got to be the length of 5 inches. I cut it a little too short. Luckily I've got enough here. Put that aside for something else. Okay, and then we'll fold this one in half. Okay. Okay, so I've got to cut the bottoms off of these so I can paste them. And just put them in little folders. I've got Paul Klee. and Juan Miro. I remember doing a paper on Juan Miro when I was in university. And I started doing some art inspired by him. Another artist that I really, really loved when I was in art school was Franz Marc. And I didn't put any of his work in here because he was from a much earlier time period in the 1800s. So it didn't really fit with what I was doing here. But I definitely want to do an art journal inspired by some of the artists that I really admired. And I used to, so Franz Marc, he's known for his blue horses. He painted blue horses, and I love animals. I mean, when I was 19, I got myself a little Labrador Retriever pup, and I was in university, and I adored my dog. Poor thing's passed now. Of course, that was a long time ago. But, yeah, I used to draw blue, I called them blue Mauis because my dog's name was Maui. And I mimicked Juan Miro's style because I just loved his style. So I did my little version of my blue Mauis. And a very large painting that I did back in, I guess it was in 1992 or 1992. I did a large 3.5 by 5 foot painting that was donated to the university that I went to, and it still to this day is a historical archive for the university. Because when I went to art school there, it was the first year that they had the art school open in Thunder Bay, Ontario. That's where I went to university. So our class did in honor of the first year, the students and faculty did a number of large-scale projects that were on display in the Agora which is the main building at the university, and it still remains part of the going to remain part of the heritage. So it's like kind of an archival display. Okay, so here's my little, sorry I'm telling stories while I talk, but I'm sure you saw what was going on. So I'm going to, let me just finish all of them. Look how cute these are. They're so cute. It's like little mini portfolios. Love this. It kind of like doing this gives me inspiration for a whole bunch of other journals that I can do. And there is one that I plan to do, and I'm so excited to start. I don't know when I'm going to get it started because I feel like I have about 8 journals on the go right now, and I'm trying to complete them, but I got them all going on the go, and I feel like some just aren't getting done because it's a work in progress. But one of the journals that I want to do is, so I want to take some of my favorite artists that have inspired me and that I studied or that I really admire the works of, and I want to pull some paintings of theirs and literally do like a side-by-side. So I'll post a copy of their painting on one side of the journal, and then I'll do a rendition of that painting. Like, not saying I'm going to copy it in that style or anything, but I want to be inspired by that art and do a rendition of it on the other side. So you see, like, you know, say Gustav Klimt's version of the kiss, and then I'll do what I would do in my style. I just think it's so cool. I just thought it would be I think it's a great idea for artists to experiment like that too. And you know, we always get inspiration from other creatives. You know, that's why I do these videos. I want to inspire other artists. So there's nothing wrong with, you know, going back and seeing what you know, brought you creativity and work with it. Okay, so I have all these cute little portfolios. Oh my gosh, I just got another idea for another little journal that I'm going to do, just looking at this. Okay, I'm not going to tell you about that one though. You'll have to stay tuned. I don't want to give all my secrets away. I'm just wondering if I should, I think, oh, that's coming off. I'm going to have to add a little more glue there. As I was looking at it, I was like, oh, wouldn't that be cute to have in a little pocket? But no, because I've already planned the number of pages. Okay, so I really want to put this one on the front. I think it's so cute. And what I want to do is I'm going to glue it down first because I do want it to be secure. So let's get the glue on. Now I still want it to be like, you know, vintage. I don't want it to look too wonderfully like crisp and perfect and anything like that. So I'll show you what I'm going to do. Okay, so I've got my little portfolio in there. And then, you know me and my scotch, or not scotch tape. What's this tape called again? Masking tape. Got my masking tape out. And I want to put a little piece there. And then I want to put a little piece at the bottom. So it looks like it was just taped in. Okay. Now another thing that you can do is, because what I wanted to do, and I didn't have any, but you know, like the little corners that you can get, little photo corners. You could do little photo corners, or you can just tear little bits of paper off like so. I just want it to, you know, this is just so, as I mentioned last week, reminiscent of my parents' photo albums. It's just, they would paste, or not paste, they would literally have this little photo album with black pages, and then they just used masking tape to tape the photos in. And then they would have masking tape with the titles. So it might look like a lot of masking tape to you, but the reality is that when you're going for a certain look, and this is just like, this is my memory. This is how my parents did their photo albums. So I'm not afraid of the tape. And you know, this background paper is that kind of vintage white, like a cream color, the same color as the masking tape. So I don't find it overbearing. I think it's perfect. And then what I'm going to do is, of course, like I do with all of them, is I've got to get my little labels. I'm just going to add another piece here. I'm going tape crazy. And then I will put art from the 1940s, just like that. And then I'm going to do the same thing here with these two. So I'll have Kandinsky and clay, and they'll be side by side. These ones, I'm just going to put them in the center though. So let me glue those down. I know you get the idea, but I'm going to do it for you anyways, and then you can see the, you know, the final product. And I'll add my masking tape as well. So I've got Klimt, or Kandinsky, Klimt. I had Klimt on my mind, gust of Klimt. Okay. And then again, get my tape down, one on the top, one on the bottom, get some little pieces for the corners. Very scrapbooky. Oops. Okay, one done. And get this one done, same thing. You know, and then the masking tape's there too if you want to make a little note. Or you can just leave this one, you know. It's got the information on the artist, so you can just leave it like this. And it's always nice to see how your journal ends up building up and getting some bulk just by, you know, adding your insert. And this journal's certainly getting nice and chunky, so it's going to fill up that space. Oh, did you guys get blurry on me? Oh my gosh, I apologize. Okay, so whoops, glue is in my way. So there's the art from the 1940s, some reference with some little information on the artist, and I've got my 3 portfolios, and that's it. We'll be ready to work on the other page. I still have these nice little pockets, and I'm going to figure out all kinds of stuff to go in those too. I've still got plenty of information to put in this little book. So hope you guys got inspired here. I'm doing little mini portfolios. It doesn't matter what kind of journal you're doing or theme. You can really, you know, customize it to your style. All right. So we'll see you guys next time as we continue working in this journal. Thanks for watching.